Good morning, Bix Weir, RoadtoRoota.com. It's your morning horn of Z's, your sip of coffee. You're going to have to put your tinfoil hat on today a bit. Hurricane Michael has just increased in intensity to Category 4 storm, which will pretty much destroy anything it hits. And it is hours away from hitting on 10/10/2018. Yes, 10/10/2018. Where's that number ring a bell? I'll tell you in a minute. But first, this might not be the only hurricane. There's another one brewing. Nadine out here. Leslie's going this way. But there's Hurricane Michael. What I want to tell you is that it doesn't take a conspiracy genius to know that we have been able to control the weather for about 100 years, more than 100 years. Obviously, as technology has improved, we've gotten better and better at it. And controlling the weather is not only just creating a hurricane, obviously that would be difficult, but steering it isn't that hard. And dissipating it is actually pretty easy. We've been able to do this for well over 60 years. And that's the amazing thing, is they're not dissipating it, they're increasing the severity of it. This is the battle between the good guys and bad guys, my friends. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up the HARP research program, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, created by the DARPA. And this was the latest technology as of 30 years ago. Obviously, it's improved a lot. The military sold it off. They were going to rip it apart, and they sold it off. Now you can rent it out, supposedly. But yeah, check out HARP. But also check out the history of weather modification. Here is President Lyndon Johnson in the mid-1960s. So 20 years ago. What am I? Wait, 60 years ago, 55 years ago. 55 years ago. Here's what was said. In his subcommittee's detailed summary statement, Johnson proclaimed that our very future depended on being the ones who first seized ownership of space. Control of space means control of the world, Johnson declared. From space, the masters of infinity. This is Johnson. This is what he said, President Johnson. From space, the masters of infinity would have the power to control the Earth's weather, to cause drought and flood, to change the tides and rise the levels of the sea, divert the Gulf Stream, and change temperatures, change temperate climates to frigid. Johnson concluded, in essence, the Soviet Union has praised control of space as a goal of such consequence that achievement of such control has been made a first aim of national policy. In contrast, our decisions, more often than not, have been made within the framework of the government's annual budget. Against this view, we now have on record the appraisal of leaders in the field of science, respected men of unquestioned competence. There's no such thing as that, by the way, whose valuation of what control of outer space means renders irrelevant the bookkeeping concerns of fiscal officers. Yeah, and let's go off the silver standard as well at the same moment. And here's a quote directly from Johnson, speaking at the Southwest Texas State University in 1962. It lays the predicate and foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer, ultimately to control the weather. And he who controls the weather will control the world. This is in the 1960s. And there was proof that it actually did happen. President Johnson would go on to authorize weather warfare over Vietnam. Operation Popeye first came into public light in March of 1971, when reporter Jack Anderson published a story based on a secret 1967 memo from the Joint Chiefs of Staff to President Johnson. The memo read, Laos operations continue as at present, plus Popeye to reduce the trafficability along infiltration routes. An authorization requested to implement operational phase of weather modification process previously successfully tested and evaluated in some area. It has been going on. That's 60 years ago, my friends. And people call me crazy when I talked about this. Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy was manufactured, steered, and located and applied directly over the most important financial institution on planet Earth, the DTCC vault of all the paper contracts known to man. At 55 Water Street, that storm hit right on the dot, flooded the vault for a month, and then they set it on fire. You don't believe me? There's the fire. 27 injured in fire at Lower Manhattan office tower. At least 27 people were treated for smoke inhalation outside a downtown office tower after a fire broke out early Friday morning in the storm-struck basement of 55 Water Street. 55 Water Street is where the DTCC kept all the paper records. That vault is 100% watertight, as is the vault right down the street at the Federal Reserve, as is the vault at Chase Plaza, where JP Morgan held all their gold that they had to sell to the Chinese. But what happened? What happened? Somebody left the vault open at 55 Water Street so that $37 trillion worth of certificates were flooded. You don't think there's no conspiracy in that one? It is absolutely conspiracy. I know who did it too. Michael Dunn. Michael Dunn was a CFTC chairman who was blocking the silver manipulation at the CFTC. He left the CFTC and was put in charge of the vault at the DTCC at 55 Water Street. I did what was it? The History Channel flew me down to LA and said, "Oh, we want to interview you about that secret vault." And I went through it all, spent 3 hours down there. They were all excited. And what happened? They pulled it at the last second. They said, "We can't tell the world this." Go to RoadtoRoota and look up this article. Was Bix Weir banned from the Conspiracy Channel? I go through all the issues of what the DTC is and what happened. And number 5 right here, what happened to the $36 trillion worth of paper securities that were submerged during Hurricane Sandy? Number 6, why were all the gold and silver swap contracts transferred to the vault at 55 Water Street just weeks before it was flooded? That's right. All the CFTC paper documentation of the criminality was put in 55 Water Street vault weeks before Hurricane Sandy hits. Michael Dunn leaves the door open and everything gets flooded. And then, of course, they set the fire and they burned it down just to add a little insult to injury. So what happened? This happened. SEC changes the rules, and here is the final order. This is SEC rule number, I don't even know the number, but it took out the need to document the naked shorts on Regulation Show, which is the regulation that prevents naked shorting. And here's the SEC proclamation. Accordingly, it is ordered, pursuant to Section 36 of the Exchange Act, that a broker-dealer is exempt from the locate requirement, including the delivery requirement with respect to a short sale of a vault security, and exempt from Rule 200 with respect to such order, and thus may mark such order short exempt for purposes of the short sale price test in Rule 201 without meeting the requirements of 201. All because of Hurricane Sandy. This document that rarely anybody ever talks about because nobody's ever seen it is called Order Granting Exemptions from Certain Rules of Regulation Show related to Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy made landfall along the mid-Atlantic coast October 29, 2012. The DTCC reported that its headquarters location in Lower Manhattan sustained significant water damage as a result of the storm flooding. In particular, DTCC reported significant flooding and water damage occurred throughout DTCC's vault. That vault is 100% watertight if you shut the door. Michael Dunn left the door open on purpose. Michael Dunn is a useful idiot. He looks like Dr. Magoo, and he was definitely the world's dumbest CFTC commissioner back when he worked there, right before they transferred him to 55 Water Street to the DTCC. They didn't transfer him. He retired from the rigging of, covering up of the rigging of the silver market, and then the DTCC hires him, tells him, "You're in charge of this vault. where $36 trillion worth of paper contracts are sitting, and we're going to transfer all the criminal paper shorts, all the swap certificates to that vault, and you're going to leave the door open, and we're going to steer this huge hurricane right at that spot. Voila. So what's going on now? It's the storm before the storm. And back to the conspiracy side, why is it important today? Today is 10/10/2018. 10/10/2018. What does that mean? Look at the cover of the Economist Magazine. See the 2018? See on the top? What's the number? And the written number and the numerical number. 10/10/2018. Oh, and by the way, the largest, most expensive hurricane ever to hit Florida is about to hit on 10/10/2018. What does it mean? Who the hell knows? But clearly we can stop this hurricane. We're not. Somebody is intensifying it, as a matter of fact. This is the storm before the storm, my friends. Hang on tight. Keep everything in your own possession. This will be the most costly storm in human history. They're expecting storm surges up above, I think, 13 feet, which is basically as you're standing at your house, look up 13 feet, and that'll be the base of the water, and then add another 20 feet for a wave that comes in. Insane. Anyway, hang on tight, my friends. You can get through this. If you're in that area, get the hell out, because they're going to take out that whole area. But we can get through this if you have physical silver and gold in your own possession, if you have cryptos in your own possession. This insanity that has been on the books for a long time. 30 years to get to this point. It was 1988 that this magazine was published. And see that zero with the line through it? That is exactly what is on the Chinese gold bars, talking about all the gold in the Grand Canyon. This is it. Hang on tight and get ready for a world currency in 2018. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, that's what's going on this morning. For your morning horn of Z's, this is Bix Weir, RoadtoRoota.com. Welcome to our new world, my friends. Hang on tight. I'll talk to you guys later.